and it is releasing this month on Feb 12th. So if uh, anyone who is interested in purchasing this book, I have got a 20% discount coupon for that. So please feel free to ping me. Okay. So without wasting any of your time, this meetup, which is AWS monitoring, is a result of one of the chapter from this book. And I mean, in this book, I shared my experience, like whatever the experience I have in this DevOps field. I just want to share it with you guys. So that's why I wrote this book. Okay. So let's come up to the main topic for today, which is monitoring. And I guess any one of you who is working in this field, you guys know that monitoring is not a new topic. So, but in the last like 10 to 15 years, the dimension of the monitoring is completely changed. So let me tell you, let me set up the expectation for this, like what exactly I mean by that. If you look at the pre-cloud era, most of the time, like, okay, let me put it this way. So when I started my IT career in this field, uh, one second, somebody's pinging me. Okay, just one second, guys. Okay, never mind. Okay, sorry, where I was. So I was saying the monitoring is not a new topic, and any one of you guys who is working in this field is aware of the importance of like monitoring. But if you think about the monitoring, its dimension is changed in the recent year. So I was saying that when I started my journey in this IT field, like close to like 15 or 16 years ago, Nagios was one of the hottest monitoring tool at that time. And still, I believe there are many companies who is using Nagios as a monitoring tool. But one thing which you guys are all agree that the dimension of the monitoring is completely changed because of the existence of this cloud, and the monitoring has become more dynamic in nature. So let me dig more into it, and I'm not going to waste much of your time in doing in all this theoretical stuff. I just want to set the right expectation for this webinar. So if you think of the pre-cloud era, when we have the limited set of servers, and I guess let's take an example of the Nagios, which we are talking about. We need to install the Nagios monitoring or the Nagios NRP agent on the limited set of servers. But now with the introduction of this cloud, there are a lot more of servers which we need to deal with, or the virtual machine or the container. So, uh, I mean, if you look at the like AWS as a cloud, when we use set up the like a auto scaling group, the instance can scale up and scale down at any time, right? Depending upon your load and all the other requirement. But if you look at the Nagios, we need to set up those NRP agent, and we have a static kind of monitoring. But now with this all these things which comes into a picture, we have a more dynamic kind of a monitoring. So that is where the CloudWatch comes into picture. The CloudWatch provides us that dynamic kind of monitoring where our servers are booting up or going down at any moment of time. Okay, so this is what I want to set up the context. And if you want to know more about this, I have mentioned all these things in my book. Okay, so let's get straight into the AWS console, and let's start the first topic for the today's webinar, which is the CloudWatch. So I want to make this session interactive, so I will ask you a bunch of questions. If you guys are aware of my who attend my previous meetups, uh, I want to ask question with you, and I just want to pause for like 10 to 30 seconds, and I will wait for you guys to reply back to that. Okay, so let's start with a simple example related to CloudWatch. I don't want to make this webinar more drier by talking all the theoretical stuff. So if you go to this AWS console and EC2, okay, let me go to one of my running server, go to prod, okay, and here, and I don't want to go with that definition of what is CloudWatch and everything. We will see with the help of the practical example. And look at this monitoring tab, okay. So hopefully this will go up. Nope. Okay. So these are the things which is monitored by CloudWatch by default. If you see CPU, your status check, your network bytes, okay, let's scroll down, disk read, and CPU credit. Okay, I will make it as big as possible. So these one. Now, a question for you guys, depending upon your IT experience, if you look at this screen, there is few key metrics which is missing from this console. What exactly do you think? What are those metrics? So I will go it again, like all these, the CPU, the status checks, the network in and out, your disk bytes in and out, and CPU credit. Yes, Uma, RAM is one metric which is missing. What are the other thing which you can think which is missing from this console? So let me do it like this. So first thing is RAM, which is missing, which is absolutely correct. What do you guys think? What are the other metrics which is missing? Yep, disk, exactly. Anything else? Swap, right? And if you think of all the other things, for example, let's say I want to monitor the process count. Let's say I am running some Java application, so I want to see how many processes are running. Okay, so these are the few things which are missing. But before that, yeah, exactly, Luis. So before that, I just want to give you something. So if any one of you if you are preparing for the AWS Associate exam, this is one of the common question which they want you to memorize. And I don't want to you guys to memorize anything, but for example, all these metrics, the way I memorize all those things is C, D, N, and S. You guys might be aware of CDN, Content Delivery Network. So here I have some different meaning where C means compute. Okay, your compute capacity means your CPU capacity. D is for disk, right? N is for network, and S is for status. Okay. So if you look at this, these are the matrices or matrices which is available in your CloudWatch console by default. So I don't know why AWS want us to memorize all those things, but this is one of the way which I prefer. So that's what I said. If you're planning to write any of the AWS associate exam, there's always be a one question where they want you what like they always ask you if this is a matrix which is available by default in CloudWatch. So this is one of the way to memorize it. CDNS. Okay. So enough of this. Now my next question to you guys: why do you think this RAM, disk swap, or the process count, or any of those which AWS said custom metrics? Why these metrics you think is missing from the this CloudWatch console? Why don't AWS put all those metrics here in this CloudWatch console? I will again pause here for 10 seconds. So Prem, the question is, we know that these are the custom metrics. For example, the RAM, the disk utilization, these are missing from the CloudWatch console, right? That's what we discussed. All these matrices are missing. But why do you think these matrices are missing from this console? Why don't AWS put all these matrices here? No. Unfortunately, none of the answer is correct so far. No, Bala, it's not due to security reason. I mean, if you okay, just for a second, let's completely forget about the AWS. And even if you go to the OpenStack and any of the other provider, if you look at their console, these matrices will be missing. So think in that perspective. I don't want you guys to think just in terms of AWS. Yeah, Louis is correct, but what will be the reason? What was the reason behind this? Because yeah, you're absolutely correct. We need an agent to get those matrices, but why we are not getting this by default? Okay, so let me again explain you with the help of my this. Okay, so if you think of any of the AWS EC2 machine, okay, we are talking about the EC2, and let's not go to the physical hardware. We all know these are all virtual machines which we are getting, right? And the way we are getting these virtual machine with the help of some kind of a hypervisor which is running, which is either AWS KVM, which is their own version of KVM, or earlier they are using something called Zen. Okay, and whatever be you are getting, for example, our RAM or CPU or disk, every yeah, RAM means memory. Your So in case of physical machine, you are getting all these physical RAM, physical CPU, physical memory or disk. But in case of any of the virtual machine, you are not getting the actual physical RAM or disk. You are getting something called emulated one, right? With emulated, I mean hypervisor is going to emulate that disk and present it to your virtual machine. Okay, got this point? Now, if I take the example of simple RAM, it's a it's the function of the operating system, or it is completely the control of the operating system. It's operating system who control how to allocate the memory to the your virtual machine, okay, or to the kernel. And if you want to go more into the depth of it, there is a system call called mmap, which allocates memory to your processes, okay. And it is not possible to determine this kind of a memory utilization by looking at the virtual hardware. So what I mean by that, that this RAM which we are getting from this hypervisor, it is not possible for the hypervisor to look into this RAM or this emulated RAM and to get that utilization. Did you got this point? This is the most important thing. So now the next question is how the operating system will get this matrix. So this is where the Lewis mentioned, like we need to have some kind of a agent installed inside the machine to get these matrices out of it. And that is where we have something called CloudWatch agent. Okay. Any question? I mean, this is an important concept, and I feel there are so many places where this has not been explained properly. So that's what I want to emphasize on this point. But I will pause here for a few seconds and I will wait if you guys have any question. Okay. So silence is golden. So just one last thing. It's operating. It's the all these components which you are getting is not the actual physical one. You are getting a virtualized component, and who is emulating those component is hypervisor, and its operating system whose responsibility is to allocate the memory or to the your processes. And it is not possible for your operating system to look inside the that virtual hardware and to get those matrices. So you need something inside your operating system to get those matrices, and that is where we are going to look into the second step, which is our CloudWatch agent. Okay, so that's what I mentioned. So we need to install something called CloudWatch agent inside our machine to get those matrices. And to install those CloudWatch agent, we need to download that agent from AWS website. So let me ping you guys the link for that. Anyway, I mean, all these information are present inside my book. So if you are interested, so simply download this agent. This is the location. And I'm not going to install it. Means you can simply install it by using this one because I already have this agent installed. Okay. So first thing we need to do is to install this agent. Okay. Now, my next question to you guys is the installation. And let's say I'm going to configure this agent, which I'm going to show you after this. Is that is enough to push these metrics to CloudWatch? So we saw that these matrices are present, all these. And now I have installed the agent. Let's say I'm going to start this agent in the next step. But is these steps are enough to get the matrix published to CloudWatch? Because all these matrices are coming from the CloudWatch. Or do we need to do something extra? Exactly, exactly, Kanan. So we need IAM roles and policies. Okay, so let me remove all these. So think of it in this sense, and that's where I feel that there are so many articles which are present in the internet, and they did not explain this concept well. So we have this EC2 instance, right, where we have all these matrices, whatever it is, the RAM utilization, the disk utilization, and on the other hand, we have this CloudWatch, right? We want all these metrics. Let's, for the sake of the simple example, let's say RAM. We want to push these matrices to CloudWatch, and we see earlier that why we are getting all those matrices, CPU, disk, everything, not this, but the CPU, because AWS has a control over the hypervisor, and from there, AWS is able to get all those matrices, and that's why they are able to publish it in a dashboard for us. Okay, but for us, this is one complete substrate. But think from the AWS point of view, EC2 might be hosted in some data center in AWS, and CloudWatch, there's a possibility that it will be hosted in the same data center, or it might be public, or it might be present in some other data center anywhere around the world. Okay. Now, EC2 is a completely different component. CloudWatch is a completely different component. Okay. And in order for EC2 to trust CloudWatch that, hey, I can push my mattress, or the vice versa, that CloudWatch to trust EC2 that he can push his mattress to CloudWatch, we need some kind of a trust. And in AWS language, that is called IAM policy, that we need to bind some kind of a policy. But any one of you who is aware of AWS, we cannot bind IAM policy to our EC2 instance. Policy we can bind to a user, but not to our instance. And for that purpose, we need to bind a role. And role is nothing but a combination of these IAM policy. Okay, is that point is clear? Any question? Why do we need a role? Okay, so I believe, so let me show you how to add a role. So if you go to your EC2 instance, right, you can either bind a role during the instance creation. So for example, when I will be creating this instance, like let's say I will go to this launch instance and then create an instance from here and choose this bunch of these options like Amazon, Linux, and everything. Or once the instance is created, I can now modify the role. If you are using AWS from from last 4 or 5 years, earlier if you need to attach a role to the instance, you can't do it. You need to create a new instance. So now AWS provides us this functionality. If you go here and go to security and modify IAM role. So here I need to attach this role, which is called CloudWatch agent role. And let me show you what exactly is this role. So if you go to IAM, roles, CloudWatch agent role. Yep. Okay. There's two things. Let's not worry about this full access. I will tell you what exactly is this. So if you are able to see this, what exactly I am defining in the action field, if you guys are aware of IAM roles, that I am basically saying CloudWatch to push these matrices as well as logs to, uh, to saying EC2 to push all these matrices to the CloudWatch. We will come back to the log section later, but basically, this is the most important thing. Put matrix data, and we are going to see what exactly those matrix data are. Okay, so this is all policy, and you can add a IAM role from here. Let me show you one more time. You just need to go to you need to select the server, go to action, go to security, and modify IAM role. And if you want to change the role, you can change it like this. Okay. So now we are able to solve the two pieces of a puzzle. First one is we have installed the agent and we are able to attach the IAM role. So we are ready to push our data to the CloudWatch. And the way we push the data to a CloudWatch is with the help of something called configuration wizard. So once you install this RPM, let me show you. You run this command. It basically creates a directory called opt AWS, and where you see a bunch of these binary files. For example, in the bin, the license, and all those. Okay. So you need to execute one script. Let me ping you guys that script. This one. Which ask you a bunch of questions. So first thing is, what is a version of your OS which you are running? So in this case, it's Linux. Second one is where exactly you are running your end application or your instance. So one good thing about this CloudWatch is that you can run CloudWatch agent on EC2 as well as on your on-premise instance. Okay, but as in the last step, what we have done, we have attached the IAM role to the instance, right? But that's the only catch with that. In case of your on-premise instance, you cannot attach a IAM role. And the reason for that, because in your on-premise, you don't have that STS service, which is a simple token service. So we can talk about it later or on some other day, but in case of your on-premise instance, you need something called a AWS securities key, access and security policy key. Okay. So EC2. Now, which user you are planning to run this agent? For the time being, for this demo, I will be running it as a root, but you can choose it as some other option. Now, do you want to turn StatsD daemon? Again, if you are aware of this monitoring stuff, StatsD is also used to collect some of the matrices. So I will say yes. I'm choosing just a default option. Which port you want this daemon to be run? 8125. Again, collection interval, it's completely up to you. You want to collect all these matrices as 10 second, 30 second, or 60 second. I will choose a default one, 10 second. Again, do how means all these options, like you can read about it. Do you want to aggregate all your matrices? Next is collect D. This is also for adding some additional matrices. I will show you all these things. And again, CPU, memory, etc. Do you want to monitor additional core? Do you want to add all these to your dimension? For example, image ID, instance type, all these. I mean, basically, in most of the cases, I choose all the default options. Now, this is, I don't think so. This is an important thing, but the thing is, if you go with the 1 second option, like how soon you want to collect all these matrices, if you go with the 1 second option, this will cost you something extra. So this is one thing which I want to highlight. So let me go with the default one, 4. This is the most important option, which is which default matrix config do you want? Basic, standard, advanced, or none? We need to go with the I will prefer to go with the advanced option, and let me tell you why. Let me ping you one of the article, and then I will show you what exactly is mean by the this advanced metric. Oh, I didn't ping you guys the article. Let me ping you now. Okay. So this is the difference. Okay. If you go with the basic option, it's only going to collect these two matrices for you. If you go with the standard option, these are the ones. And if you go with the advanced option, these are the one. So basically, I want to collect all these matrices. So that's why I'm going with the advanced option. This is the difference between it. And I mean, it's completely depend upon your requirement, but I always prefer to go with the one which is going giving me all these matrices. Now it will ask you, are you satisfied with the above config? I will say yes. I will show you at the end what are those the configuration file will look like. Do you have any existing CloudWatch agent running on this machine? No. Do you want to monitor any log file? This is the one section I want to highlight. So let me go here and click on this CloudWatch. So when CloudWatch was initially launched, CloudWatch is all about monitoring. It's going to monitor your instance or all these matrices which we are getting. But later on, they means CloudWatch is evolved and it started collecting all the means the AWS started adding all the bunch of other features. So one of the feature is called CloudWatch logs. What exactly CloudWatch log will do for you? It's going to collect all your logs at one centralized place. So for example, if I go here, okay, and I can export these logs to X3, S3, or even to Elasticsearch or to Lambda to process these logs further. So basically, what exactly you can do, you can push all your logs. For example, I want to push var log messages to one centralized location, and from there I can push it to Elasticsearch and then from Kibana for further processing. Okay, so this is one of the advantage of using CloudWatch logs. So let me show you with the help of an example. Do you want to monitor any log file? I will say yes. Here you need to define the path of the log file. So I will say, let's say I want to monitor var log messages. Uh, Default log group name. This is where you need to create the log group. So which is pretty simple. Just click on the create log group. I will say my demo LG. By default, if the log group you are going to create the retention period is it's never expired. Like whatever the logs which is present inside this log group, those logs will never expire. For the purpose of this demo, I will set it as a 1 day. And the last one is you can encrypt those logs. So I don't want to do it for this demo, but it's a good practice to encrypt all your data. So I will say create and this one, my demo LG. So now here I can give the name of this log group here. Default choice, if you want to give your log stream some name, it's fine. I can go with the default one. Similarly, if you want to monitor any other log file, for example, log secure or any other log file, you can specify it here. I think for the demo purpose, I showed you like you can specify the log path, you need to specify the log group name and the stream log. So I will say no. Do you want to store the config in the SSM parameter? SSM is a system manager for AWS. So right now I'm doing this manually on this system, but if I want to replicate this to like 100 of my server, I can store this all this configuration into one single location, and from there I can call it back. So this is basically for the purpose of the automation, but for this demo, I don't think so. I want to store this into SSM. So I will say no, and that's it. So if you go here, whatever we have done so far, all these things will be stored in this configuration file, which is where log messages, whatever the log group with name we gave. Because we go with the advanced option, all these matrices are getting means will be pushed to the our CloudWatch. For example, use percent, inode free, all these. Okay. So the next thing is now we have done three things so far. We have installed the agent, we have set up the IAM policy, we have configured it. The last step is to start the agent so that it will start pushing these matrices. So to do that, we have a command provided by AWS, which is a big lengthy command. But the thing is, this is called Amazon CloudWatch control, agent control command. Let me give you this, where we need to specify some option called fetching the config. And we are doing this for EC2. And then we specify the file that is which is just been created by that configuration wizard. So what this command will do, it do some intelligent thing behind the scene. It is going to check the configuration file and see if the syntax is valid, as well as the same time -s is going to start the agent. So if you can see here, it did the verification as well as start the process. Okay. Now this is not a real time. It will take some time to get these matrices pushed to CloudWatch. So you need to wait for a few minutes. And the same thing is for the logs, that the logs which we are pushing, it will take some time for this to be pushed to the CloudWatch. So now, if you go to CloudWatch and go to something called metrics, this is, as I mentioned, this is not real time. This is the matrices which I have pushed earlier. So the way the AWS specify all these matrices with the help of a namespace. So they have a different namespace for different matrices. For example, for EC2, they have this namespace called EC2. Similarly, for all the matrices, we are custom matrices which we are pushing via the CloudWatch. They have a different namespace called CloudWatch agent, which is called CW agent. So if you click here, go to any of these. So for example, if I go here, now you will start seeing this matrix called mem use percentage, which is the memory use or your swap utilization, which was not present earlier. So the moment you are going to install this CloudWatch agent and the agent will start pushing these matrices to your CloudWatch, you will get this custom namespace name CW agent. Okay. And if you click here, you will start seeing these matrices, for example, disk usage, which we have discussed that it was not present earlier. Okay. So I think I have means explained a lot of things. Any question? I will wait here for 10 seconds. Okay, Uma, I think I have copied those commands, but if not, yep, let me ping you those commands. I mean, by the way, that what I mentioned, all these commands are present in my book. So if I go here and goes down, should be 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So I mean, in the book, I have mentioned step by step how to do that, all these commands, and all these commands. It's already been mentioned in the book. But anyway, yeah, I pinged you with these commands. Any other question related to this CloudWatch? If not, then we will switch to our next topic, which is SNS. So SNS is simple. I mean, at least it's a your pub sub service, and it is used to publish a notification. So SNS or simple, sorry, simple notification service. Okay. So rather than explaining to you guys like what exactly is the SNS, I think there's some lag. Okay, now I think it's good. Okay, rather than explaining to you guys with the help of like theoretically what exactly is SNS, let me show you with the help of an example. So we started pushing all these custom matrices, but I need some kind of a way where if my CPU utilization, let's say, goes more than 30% or 40%, I will get an alarm. Okay, and that I can get with the two ways, which is the focus for the rest of the presentation. First thing I will show you with the help of a email, and the second is with the help of a Slack notification. Okay, so here if you can see, I'm focusing on this prod server, which is 68E E6, and if you go down, okay, this one 68E6. What exactly I want to do? Not this one, this guy, the CPU utilization. I want to build a matrix on the top of it. This SNS notification, not matrix. So what exactly I need to do? I need to select this, go to graph matrix and click on this bell icon. Okay, let me show you one more time. I select this CPU utilization as a matrix. You can select any matrix based on your preference. Go to graph matrix and click on this bell notification. So basically what exactly we are doing, we are trying to create an alarm. And I will say when the period every 1 minute, if my CPU utilization, just for this purpose of this demo, I'm putting it a very low value, which is 10%. So if my CPU utilization is more than 10%, Okay. For one data point, you can put it like out of 5 if they are reached the 3 data points or something like that. And it's in the alarm state. I can create a new topic, and this new topic is the alarm. So I will say my SNS demo alarm. And here I need to specify the email ID. So I will say 102 days of DevOps at gmail.com. And I will create a topic. Let me show you. Just to prevent any spam, AWS is going to send you a verification email. So let's go here. So like this subscription confirmation, 0 minute ago, and you need to confirm the subscription. So now I have confirmed the subscription. Go down. So now what exactly I have done, I have integrated CloudWatch with SNS. And here what exactly is going to happen is when my CloudWatch CPU when my EC2 instance CPU utilization goes more than 10%, it will trigger an alarm, and that alarm will come to my email, whatever I have specified in that SNS topic. Okay, so create alarm, this one. And initially it will be in the insufficient state, and after a few minutes, it will go back to the OK state. Because at this time, AWS is trying to collect all these matrices. Okay, now let's try to replicate this issue. So I am on in that AWS machine, and let me try to generate some load. Two, three, four, five, six. Hopefully this will generate sufficient load. Okay. While this is happening, I will show you how the alarm will look like. And if you go to my email and here, this is how it will look like. When it will reach the specified threshold, it will trigger an alarm that, okay, it is in alarm state. This is what it says. The threshold will reach and you will get an alarm like this. So while we are waiting for this to be reached to that particular state, like the 10%, we will go to the next topic. But before that, any question, because we only have 9 minutes left, and I know we have started late, so I will go little bit 5 more minutes from our specified time. But any question related to the SNS, I think it's pretty straightforward. But nope. Okay, let's go to the last topic, which is Slack notification. Let me see if the alarm, okay, is still not reached to that threshold. Okay, okay. So right now, what we have done, we have the EC2 instance. We are pushing all of our metrics to CloudWatch, and CloudWatch, we set up a threshold of something like 10%, right? And if that threshold will reach, we are going to get the SNS notification. This is the workflow which we have set it up right now. Now let's look at the other thing, which is a Slack notification. Okay. So the only thing which is going to change in this above workflow is like rather than SNS, we are going to extend this functionality to Slack. Like we are going to get the SNS notification. This is just, I know it's a repetitive thing, but uh, I just want to get a notification on the my SNS as well as on the Slack channel also. Okay. So just to simplify this, now my question to you guys, can I get a notification directly from SNS to Slack? I mean, anyone who worked on this field, based on your experience, do you guys configure this, like sending the your CloudWatch alarm or EC2 notification to Slack? And how did you guys configure it? No one? Okay. I think we only have like 10 minutes left. So let me go through this quickly. So basically in AWS, AWS does not provide any native functionality to integrate SNS or your CloudWatch to Slack. So this you can only do with the help of Lambda, right? Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Send it to Lambda function and then Lambda send it to Slack. Exactly. Okay. So far we have done the work like this up to this point. We have our EC2, we have our CloudWatch, we have our SNS, and we have our Lambda function. Oh, we don't have our Lambda function. We are going to write a Lambda function. Actually, we are not going to write a Lambda function. I will show you like how that Lambda function will look like. And then we are going to create the Slack notification. So first, let's start with the extreme right, which is our Slack, this one. And let me ping you guys one of the article by AWS, which I have followed. So let me first ping you guys that article. Mm, where is my? So yeah, you can see we are start getting that uh, alarm by the SNS notification. It just received like 2 minutes ago. Okay, let me kill this process. Otherwise, my CPU will. Okay, it's all terminating. Cool. This one. So AWS support sending out those SNS notification to your, I mean, to other providers like Chime, which is their own in-house stuff, the Slack, as well as the Microsoft Teams. Okay. Now let's go a little bit deeper into it. So the way it will send those notification with the help of something called webhooks. Okay. Any one of you who is using Git for some time, you might be aware of something, a concept of called webhooks. So what exactly a webhook will do, it is going to trigger an event based on something. So let me try to explain to you with the help of simple example. You have configured your GitHub repository and then integrated it with the help with the Jenkins. Now you want, I'm really sorry if these terms will be completely new to you guys, like this Jenkins and everything. But basically, what exactly you will do, as soon as you push any changes to the GitHub repository, it will trigger your Jenkins build. That is the main function of a webhook. And the same thing we are going to replicate in case of a Slack also. In Slack, we are going to configure a webhook which will look for any event which is SNS, and it is going to trigger the Slack notification. Now, the question is where exactly the Lambda comes into picture. So the reason we are need to use Lambda, because Slack, on the other hand, it only receive a JSON file. So Slack only going to parse the notification or going to parse the event which is will be coming in the form of a JSON array. And that is the main function of a lambda, is to convert that whatever the string which is coming from a SNS into the JSON format. And I will show you how that string will look like. So do you guys have any question like what exactly we are doing and why we are doing this? So just to repeat that, on Slack side, we are going to configure a webhook, which is going to listen for this SNS notification. And this SNS is coming via the Lambda, and Lambda is going to parse it and going to convert it into a form of a JSON, which Slack can understand. Okay. So now the next question is how to configure that JSON. Oh, webhook, sorry. So to do that, you need to go to your Slack, right? And let me ping you that and show you. So go to your Slack, this, and the way you need to do it is with the help of something called app. So you need to create a new app. So I will give it any name, my demo app, and I need to select my Slack development workspace. For example, for me, it's 100 days of DevOps. So I need to select it and I will say create app. And this is where you need to configure the incoming webhook. Activate webhook. And you can see that it's a kind of a HTTP request which will be coming to your as a JSON payload. And you need to do the add new webhook workspace. And where exactly you want to pass that webhook. I mean, where exactly you want to get that notification. So when your CPU, let's say, reaches more than 10%, in which channel you want that notification. So I want that to be in the Slack test. Allow. Now the most important thing for you is to copy this webhook URL, this one. Okay. Now go back to that AWS documentation, this one. If you scroll down, this is the code for that. So basically, let me tell you the few things which you need to modify, and then we will go through this code. So basically, this is the place where this Slack webhook URL that we have copied, you need to change it based on your webhook, this one, change it, and the channel name. So where exactly you want to deliver the webhook. So I want to deliver it to a Slack test. I need to change it. Okay. And then here we are doing that JSON parsing. So let me show you what exactly is this text and event records, everything. So if you go here back to AWS console and search for Lambda, I will say, let me click on any of these, clean up. And here is something called select a test event and configure test event template. Let me search for SNS. Yes. So this is how, when the SNS event happen, this is how the event look like. So let me copy this here. Let me, okay, let me open a new tab. So this is how the event will look like. So when again, let me repeat the same thing. When the CloudWatch alarm hit the 10%, it's going to trigger the SNS, and this is how the SNS notification will look like, where it will give the event subscription ARN, the message ID, all these fields. For example, what will be the subject of the message, what will be the subject, what will be the message, when it is will deliver, your topic ARN, all the bunch of things. So if you go back to the code, what exactly we are doing? We are just trying to parse out of this event the message. So under records, under this records, right? We are going to SNS, the subheading, and then the message. So we are trying to parse this one. It's completely up to you, whatever the field you want to parse. If you want to parse the subject, you can specify the subject over here. Okay. And to connect to this endpoint, we are using the URL lib library, which is going to connect to this endpoint. Okay. Where we are sending this post message, post request, and that's it. So let me show you with the help of an example here. If you go back to the function and Slack, SNS to Slack. So I have done the same thing. I just copied this Lambda function, change the URL to whatever be the endpoint and the channel name. So here in this case, I am specifying the random. There's no other thing which you need to change. Okay. Now, the one thing which you need to do is to add a trigger. So if you go back to the figure, what exactly we are doing? We said that this Lambda is going to be triggered by the SNS, this guy. So we need to add a trigger. And the trigger is means your Lambda support trigger from all these providers or all these resources in AWS. And I can select the one which I have created, my SNS demo alarm, add. Okay. So this has been added. I think I have a bunch of these. So now we have the complete workflow. We have SNS in place, we have Lambda in place, and we have configured the webhook. And the webhook part we have configured in the Lambda, the webhook endpoint, the Slack webhook endpoint. So now if we follow the same practice again, we are going to increase the load on this server. I think we are running out of time. Let me show you with the help of one example. This is how the alarm will look like. It's pretty simple. So when it reached to that threshold state, it will trigger alarm rather than you are getting in the email, as well as you are going to get in your Slack channel, whatever you have mentioned. So the key point is to understand why we are doing it, why we are setting up this Lambda function, and how to configure the Slack with the help of the webhook. Okay. So you need to have some idea about webhook, what exactly is the webhook, why, how it works, and after that it's pretty straightforward. So if you guys need more information, I already pinged the link in the channel. Also, again, I have gone through the detailed explanation of all these things in my book. One thing which I have found it out while doing the research about this topic, uh, initially I told you guys that AWS does not support the default, the native integration between the SNS and the Slack. And any one of you who's aware of Lambda, you know that there are various ways you can create a Lambda function while the author from scratch using a blueprint. Blueprint is something which is the default code or some pre-cooked code which is provided by AWS. This is something they have added recently, container image. And last one is the serverless app repository. So this is where the developers from different part of the world, they have contributed their code. Here, if you search for the Slack, you will see that now the Slack code is present over here. So rather than you copy the code from here, the Slack code is already been present. So what exactly you need to do? You can give your application name. Same thing, the Slack API token that we have copied, and the channel where you want to publish that notification, and SNS publish response, the SNS channel. So I mean, you can you can look at this link also. Okay. And again, I think I am playing like a broken brand, but I mention all these things in my book, like how to do it in more detailed explanation with related to SNS, or there's more topic like CloudWatch events and how to configure all these things. So if you are interested, I have got the 20% discount coupon of my book, so please feel free to ping me.